Oh, there we go. And we are live. It is time for another DU Think Tank. Make sure you tell your friends, get in here, get the panties loose. It's time for some chat. We're talking about PvP tonight. We do have some PvP guests in chat tonight. And we're about to be getting dragged down to Studio Live A, if my moderators would be so kind as to do that. There we go. See, this is what's nice about having moderators. Perfect. Why are we in holding tank A? Why? Who? Okay, guys. We're having issues here.
I think we go for it. I won't do it. I think we all got moved.
We're in holding tank A, the public channel anybody can drag into. The channel got dragged down, not the people.
That wasn't me this time. It wasn't me this time.
Okay, so drag us down. There you go. There is PvP and DU. It is coming, and it is changing, and there are a lot of changes coming, and that's what we're here to discuss tonight. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We got it right this time. Yay! Okay, so we have a lot of different people in stream normally. We have a lot of different people in voice that are in different aspects of the game, PvP and non-PvP. It's all over the damn place. So the rules for chat, rules we're going to be covering tonight in stream chat and in voice is don't be a dick, be cool, be chill, express yourself like an intelligent adult. Whether it's in stream chat or it's in DU chat or the Discord chat or in voice, if people can't behave, they will be removed from the equation. Okay? So,
people, I will boot you.
And the moderators will be watching the stream chat as well. Always fun, right?
Right.
Woo! Okay, so we have a announcement for an upcoming patch. The patch that is coming is called Athena. They're looking at doing it sometime, I think, at the end of April. They haven't given us an exact date, but it is coming, and it is coming soon. So we're going to go ahead and, let's see. I'm sorry, I'm running a little bit late getting in here tonight because of the kids. Okay. Which I still find it funny they chose Athena and not Ares, because... yeah, I understand the concept of Athena, but if you really want to get the PvPers happy, you would go with the concept of Ares. She was the one of order and structure, and he was the one of brutality and, like, you know... You all will die.
They'll do that when they do the big old web of fires and, like, massive cannons and citadel, like, weapons and stuff. That's what they're waiting.
Now, for Athena, we're looking at just hitting hot points here. We're looking at a new space map. That's one thing to discuss. A new size skybox, stars, rendering improvements. Those are going to be things that are make the game look better. Improved water visuals, more graphics, improved flashlight visuals. About damn time. If they get rid of that gun, I'd be really happy. A space market and element stacking exploit fix. It sounds like they're actually going to implement it with Athena. So for your stack ships, you might want to get those changed. But there's a lot of other things coming too. So do we have anybody here that's familiar with the PvP changes that they could actually list off the stuff that's coming?
Sorry, what?
The PvP changes.
I think Muck knows.
Yeah, put Muck on the spot.
The changes are a little indistinct. They said something like a engine rebalance. We don't know what that means. They said stasis weapons, which is probably just a rip-off of the Eve stasis web of fire.
That's honestly as much information as I could really.
The alien space cores, which will be a thing to fight over.
Yeah, and then the voxel improvements.
There we go. Now they can see who's talking.
When your ship gets hit, you know, your graphics card doesn't take a crap.
That's probably a game performance thing. It used to be...
right.
It used to be that the big battles before shield generators really were difficult because the server had to calculate voxel damage, download it to everybody, keep everybody updated on that.
So we're looking at an increased sync and ability to do actual large-scale fights versus before.
Well, if it works, like right. So the problem is the way we explain it is it's like a penning operation. Remember when you used to get those when you'd mine? That's what happens when you shoot 5, cannons at somebody or whatever. Like there's a penning operation on voxel. The shields have a weird thing where they actually give you credit for it. But I don't know. The voxel just seemed to be the issue. So shields and course rests were like temporary fix, but sure they want that to work.
Yeah. Space Cat says something about ship size speed restrictions as well.
Yes, that's the other big important thing.
Hey, let's go ahead and discuss that. Well, I mean, what do you guys see in regards to that being a change in PvP?
We don't know because we don't know. They said it's going to be restricted by mass. That'll probably make the really big mission runners that are making a huge amount of money really unhappy, and everybody else who knows because how much mass is too much.
Yeah. Well,
is it going to be tiered? Is it going to be scaling?
Yeah, but even if we don't have a lot of the details on it in regards to how you interact with PvP and how you're engaging the big haulers and things like that, it's going to really change the dynamic on the PvP field. Your metas are going to have to change a little bit.
The big change is going to happen is if the stasis weapon is an Eve stasis web of fire, and if small ships can move quickly compared to big ships, there's probably going to be a niche opened up where a small fast ship runs up, tackles. Tackle is a term where it grabs and holds and can't move.
It's an Eve term.
Just an Eve term. That goes and grabs a hostile ship, and then some big ship, probably with a web of fire stasis thing too, comes up and then is in a brawl to the death. And nobody's running into the safe zone, and nobody's running away, and you're just stuck there fighting.
Now, can they also be in reverse used as possible defense?
Yes. What you would do is if you had like a small, tiny ship coming at you, you could stasis weapon it. And right now, small, tiny ship coming at you is absolutely no problem. The only threat a small, tiny ship will probably prove in the future. The only threat it proves right now is you have to move away from it.
Yeah.
In the future, if it's faster than you, it might actually be able to get its smaller weapons to apply to you.
That is true.
Of course, webbing you.
Now, if speed is also being calculated into mass or core size, however they do it, wouldn't that also affect the ability for ships to basically, outmaneuver as well? Because your large ships, if they have the momentum and they might be able to have higher speed or whatever, or it might be reversed.
It'll be the large ships will have a lower top speed.
I know. I got it backwards in my head. What I was trying to say is if your larger ships are able to go slower, or are forced to go slower, and they have adequate brakes, will that mean they will be able to potentially use that to their advantage anyway, or is this something that's going to be more of a pure hurt towards larger ships?
There's no real upside for the larger ships, except if you're a really big, very slow ship, like the kind that aren't used anymore, and you've got a buddy in a small, fast ship that can use a stasis weapon on something you want to catch. Suddenly, your big, fat, multi-crewed ship that's got hundreds of millions of hit points, which are now not as useful anymore because of core stress, could at least trundle into range of whatever the small ship tackled.
Right, which is why that comment, like that Tio said, is like they talk about these rocket-powered, heavily armored ships. The current meta doesn't even run that. So, like, let's just say that there's some weird number that they attach to it. Most of the fleets, like most of the ships that go out now, might not even be affected by it, even if they're an L core. Like, say it's like if your ship is under 1.2 kilotons, you don't get affected by it. Well, the nanos right now might be under that.
Yeah.
So it could literally have zero impact.
I think this is going to be something that's going to come with a lot of afterthought and tweaking. I think they're going to implement it and realize, oh shit, we forgot that, and we didn't think about that, and then have to go back and reconfigure things. It's kind of like what happened with the recent thing with Thades and Belly. All the ships at the markets didn't decay because they just didn't think about the fact those markets were at 13,000 kilometers, or 13,000 feet up. Or 13 kilometers up, they didn't think about that. So I think with the PvP, we're going to see a lot of that issue.
DJ, so it's not related to core, it's related to mass. Like, so it's not core size, it's just related to overall mass. So the big ships will go slower, the more mass they get. But yeah, I mean, that's what we said at the beginning. Like, we can kind of like dabble in the topics, but like we don't really know too much about it. Like,
well, what we're here to find out is, as PvPers and as people that aren't PvPers, we're trying to figure out things that we could discuss tonight that we want them to take into consideration. One of the things we do in Do You Think Tank is try to focus on things that would be easy for them to implement in the new patch, that would be effective and steer PvP in a better direction.
Well, you don't see a lot of extra small or small cores on the field. It's mostly mediums and larges. Maybe the stasis weapons are limited to core size smaller, maybe not. Maybe implementing changes to the acceleration of extra small cores in conjunction with these stasis weapons would make them a more viable alternative. And there's upsides and downsides to it. I mean, if we're in engagement and there's a lot more of the enemy than there are us, if they hit us with stasis weapons, I mean, and if it's a tackle, I mean, they obviously have to look at it afterwards, but the large fleet doesn't have a chance of escaping or fleeing, and they could lose all of their ships effectively.
Okay.
If they fight back and core someone, then it doesn't matter, because then the other side still gets their core back plus the new ship. So I don't know, maybe in conjunction with this, maybe death needs to be something that needs to be harsher. So if someone gets cored, it's far more of a penalty, because you throw another core in it, and you still got some lives lost, but whatever, you still got your ship. Take it back, get repaired, fine. Yeah. So maybe it's I can't wait to hear and see more.
So let me go around and ask you guys this question for the PvPers in channel, and we can just chime up one at a time. What would be, if you could think of something simple, really simple, that could be added to the game in regards to Athena that would make PvP more enjoyable for you? What would it be?
If a element was reduced to 0 hit points, it's just gone.
Exploded, poof.
Yeah.
Gone. Never repairable.
Recyclable, maybe. Like if a core or ship is destroyed, you lose that ship, but maybe you can recycle, maybe not parts and pieces off it, but maybe you recycle the ship as a whole. You could take off parts, put them in a recycler, and you get my resources back or something like that. But as an Eve thing, once your ship is dead, I mean, you just take it back and you just kind of recycle it in that manner. It's gone forever at that point.
XPX Asylum Gaming, or Linear Burn, which Linear, you need to change your name so it represents you. I personally think if cores pops, there could be a chance of absolute destruction, like maybe like a 5% chance that the whole ship would just go kapoof. That could be interesting. That would add a dynamic to it.
If you were doing like something like that, then maybe higher percentage parts would go, right? So there's a high percentage that the core of your ship getting destroyed affected the power outlet, right? So the engines could possibly blow, and then it takes you then that ship is only limping home. It's not easy to get that ship home, which makes sense.
Okay, Imperius, what would be one thing that you would like to see added that would be, like I said, simple, that would be easy for them to integrate?
Sure. So maybe something in improving like scanner radius and range. So we have effectively a 4 SU window of what we could see, 2 above, 2 below, which I mean in space is kind of an abstract thing, but maybe you have some kind of a system that you can stop, use, and it will allow you to see 10 SU out or 20 SU out, but you don't know what it is. You get maybe a faint, vague broadcast of, hey, this could be a wreck, or hey, you don't even know, it could be an enemy fleet. It makes I get a lot of things from people saying that wrecks are really hard to find, or even good wrecks are hard to find. I think I've only heard of a medium being found, but it's really hard. As we spent 4 hours plus, and this was me and a few other people fueled up, and we traveled God knows how many SU, in one direction, trying to find these wrecks, only to find that there was only 3 put out that day. But what is the likelihood within the vastness of the space and game that you're gonna find anything of any value?
Yeah, there's only
No.
3 of them. That's kind of...
Yeah, so it's yeah, we need better improved ways of detecting things further out. Like I said, it doesn't even need to be, hey, 10 SU out over here in this direction, vague direction, or it doesn't have to tell you exactly what it is, but there's an anomaly here, or there's there could be a wreck here, or there could be something, even an asteroid, who knows?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like throwing a grain of rice in a pool and telling somebody they have to go find it.
Yeah.
It's not worth the energy.
That's very true. It's
we spend countless war cells and fuel trying to find wrecks.
Yeah,
here's a question: who is that content for?
I have no idea.
It's so limited that it's not.
But not... here, okay, so every time NQ releases a system, it's like a half-baked thing, right? And then it's broken when it's released because we're the guinea pigs, and then it gets tweaked a little bit, right? Barely workable, and then it just never gets really touched again unless something major breaks with it. And so the Rex thing is crazy because personally, when I first encountered salvage and didn't know about it, before this system, I thought it was really, really cool, and they needed to bring it back. And so when they were bringing it back, I was super excited. But then it's as someone in my position, a ship with basic S or even rare S space engines and an XS container and an XS gun, I have zero interest in that. Who would? And a guy who just started, zero interest.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I think we found rare small engines on one of the thing, and we were joking about how it could be useful for someone that is just starting out, right? Like a rare small engine that could be useful, but that was the only thing that we found the entire time. How long do we spend out there? 3 hours?
I forget the name of that ship, but it was the one that had gold and titanium, right? It's like a saucer.
I didn't see any saucer.
That's the one we found that had rare engines. Yeah, and the idea that Gotchar thought was these were actually rejected UEF store ships or something.
Yeah,
could be.
The voxel was shaped for the old ammo container sizing.
I mean, I like the idea of the Rex, right? But the juice has to be worth the squeeze. It's not.
Well, I
can't find them, and when I do, it's not worth it.
Oh, one thing, from a non-PvPer perspective in this game, particularly. Now, I've PvP'd in other games. EVE Online, I love PvP. I was a Titan pilot. I was an FC at a certain time. I love PvP. I PvP in first-person games. I like PvP in Conan and other survival games. For me in this game, there is nothing that makes me want to go out there and risk the PvP. There is no incentive for me as a player to risk it. And the PvP is still very rudimentary, so it's not something that I would enjoy personally. So,
if I could interject.
Yeah.
Another thing, too, is there's really nothing for you to come out and risk yourself. You could find, T4, T5 ore on any planet in a safe zone, mind you, smaller quantities, but it's there. You don't have to venture out. There is no incentive for, non-PvPers to venture out.
The only thing that you have to be in the PvP zone to do is the mission running, but hunting mission runners is very, very difficult.
It's very difficult because it's a needle in a haystack.
Now, what about the alien cores?
Now, that would make things very interesting.
The problem right off the bat with the alien cores is that doesn't sound like what territory warfare or space warfare is supposed to be.
It sounds like capture the flag to me.
Yeah, if NQ is throwing us an auto miner in space that we go spin around and collect a unique resource that only PvPers care about, then it won't generate content.
Well, my thing is this. Okay, so say they add these stations in. They've never had a reputation for adding much of anything in the game in volume. When they had the original Rex that were in the planets, yeah, there were several of them out there, but you go to it, you get one item, you can't pull nothing else because you're past your mass limit. They add asteroids. The asteroids really aren't enough to suffice, and they don't have enough resources to make it worth it. Auto miners are much more lucrative investment. The new Rex, the new salvage. First day they put 3 of them out there. That's really kind of pointless. So every time they've implemented a patch, it's been very it hasn't been adequate to supply the player base they have. And while they have a decent player base, it's not like they have a huge player base. You know, we're not talking EVE Online numbers here. So
we often say that like the game does feel like they put the pieces together for a larger player base that isn't here now. But like, yeah, in terms of like the systems and them not kind of like living up to it, we're at a unique point where like I don't think we can move, something off the whiteboard for NQ. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna come out. It's gonna come out.
Well,
but we can provide like vigorous feedback about the system and say like from like the PvP standpoint, if it's a resource that only PvPers care about, that doesn't really have a lot of longevity. Like it needs to draw people out. Like you were just saying, there's no risk for you. What if in a wreck you could find a warp beacon schematic? How many people that never go into PvP space would risk the 2SU to go get a little scratch card, to go fly out into PvP space? They don't even need a shield because it's a throwaway ship just to maybe see if there was something nice there.
Yep.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
There's got to be something of value, right? And honestly, I feel like it being something, part of why I think they're doing something with this massive amount of resources, like you guys keep talking about the auto miner in space, which is a fair criticism, is that because then we're going to have to actually bring something out there that can carry it back, right? We're not going to be going out there with throwaway ships. Like I'm assuming, I'm hoping that it's going to be something that it was going to be valuable to more than just PvPers, and that we're going to need to actually bring sizable ships out there in order to acquire.
The problem I have with it is this. They're not going to put many of them in, which means they are going to probably, at first, when the non-PvP players are going to be interested in trying to go to them, they are going to be so heavily monitored that you're not going to be able to utilize them. The players that don't PvP are eventually just going to walk away from them and say, look, every time I go there, I lose my damn ship. It's not worth the risk.
Well, and even Legion doesn't want a system release where we're there for 3.5 months straight and we get all the stuff that we want, and Mutt comes and flies by and maybe picks off this guy, and then we pick off that guy, and then after 3 months we have enough of that stuff to build all the stasis weapons we could ever want, and then we're not interested anymore. Like that's what happened with asteroids. I mean, we mined the shit out of them and then we were like, okay, well,
yeah, we don't even mine them anymore. It's just a place to beat.
Yeah,
that's what's going to happen.
Yeah,
I'm not going to go out there.
Yeah, because those resources, like I was saying, you don't even need that stuff. I mean, it's
well,
we need to need it.
Well, here's a question, Smallville. If the only thing you got was a resource that made the stasis weapons, would you go out there at all?
No. While you guys are all fighting over that, I'd be running missions, come back, buy it out the market. Simple as that. Yeah, I'm going to pay overpriced for it, but, a couple rounds of missions, I buy all I need to make 1,000 stasis weapons, and I'm done with it.
Thank you for the follow, ZX.
So it doesn't really generate more people out there.
No, you guys are going to fight for it, lose your ships. I'm going to laugh, run a few missions, have enough quanta while I'm AFK doing something else, and buy the resource off the market for a higher price. But yeah, I'll still be able to make it as an industrialist.
What about you, Drac?
Drac, hello.
Me? Honestly,
yeah, like what? Like if it was just for stasis weapons, would you even waste your time with it?
Not really.
I got a kind of on-topic question, but what would get you guys to come in? Not necessarily you guys that are all PvPers, but everyone that is listening, not necessarily heavy PvPers. What would it take to get you into space? Into
NPCs.
The PvP zone, sorry.
Honestly, there's two things that would get me there. One, if there was some kind of system out there in place where there would be, even if it's not PvE necessarily, but a resource where I could get my hands on schematics for alien variants of certain engines or things like that. It would be really rare and make shipbuilding more fun. Those kind of things would motivate non-PvPers to go out there because it's a risk, but if you get the reward, it's something that you can bring back and really make bank on and really do new things with.
It would need to be EVE-style BPCs rather than a blueprint.
It would be like limited
Fine.
run.
Yeah,
Well-
because you don't be able to keep making it over and over. Because
If I knew on the PvP territory there was a chance I can come upon a wreck that would have, and the only place to get them is via one of these wrecks out there that had in their box a chance to drop like an uncommon break or something, some schematic or something like that. One, and the only way to get the damn thing is to hunt those wrecks. Then that would get me out of my comfort zone out there hunting those damn
Well,
things down. To
once
find them.
again, we're back to the same old conversation, which is, hey, NQ, I almost said CCP. Hey, NQ, give us a reason to play this game.
Well, it's not necessarily a reason to play the game. It's just there's no motivation to actually engage in PvP unless you're there for the purpose of PvP. Now, the people come to the game that's why they come to the game is PvP.
Well, Serpus, can we talk about the different types of space combat? Because I think that, if you're going to address PvP, you really have to discuss, like, why PvP, right?
Yeah.
Right now, there's no turf warfare in space. Your shit's either completely vulnerable or it is completely safe. There's no turf war at all. There are fleet combat, right, in which you're just trying to blow the crap out of the other guy. And then there's pirating, where you're trying to hopefully walk away with something of value. The challenge is, and a lot of people don't realize this until they get into it, is that PvP is a rich man's game. You will spend an exorbitant amount of money PvPing to be effectively, and the payout or the reward for that investment is very little.
Oh,
so there needs to be a pirating mechanic.
I would say that I have a lot of fun PvPing every time.
Grevlin said, "Well, is DU building a game or PvP game?" Grevlin, unfortunately, when you have a game that has a mass economy like this one, you have to have, especially when the player base gets larger, you have to have that risk factor. And not just wrecking into trees on Alioth once they re-enable trees, if they ever do, because if anybody played Alpha, you remember that headache. If there's not a reason for elements to be taken out of the game, that's going to slow economy. A lot of the PvEers, a lot of the industry people, if they had the ability to build a larger market because of combat, be it PvE or PvP losses, where ships are being blown up, parts are being destroyed, those are all things that are being taken out of the market and generating an economy. It's like that in the real world. It's like that in any other large-scale proper MMO. There has to be an incoming and outgoing aspect to that market and economy. Otherwise, you don't have industry, you don't have miners, you don't have builders, you don't have ship designers. People stick with the same thing and just roll with it and never change anything. It becomes a very static and very stagnant environment.
It's kind of like what we have now.
I'd like to add in on something. I hear from some people that they're afraid to go out into PvP space, and in certain circumstances, sure that, but just because there's people up PvP, and as soon as you leave the safe zone, doesn't mean that we're all just lying in wait, ready to shoot you right then and there. It's space is very large in this game, and it's man, it's
Except
a lot less PvP goes on than what people might think. It's sometimes there are fleet battles, and those are really fun. And then sometimes we court a poor guy, and we took a skateboard, and it was
skateboard.
It was like that was it, and it's like, it's not that we want to be, pirates or like I guess the evil people. It's just when you finally see someone on your radar, you're like, oh, what, guys, I got hit, because there's just so little of it. It's we're starving for PvP content, and I would love to, I have on my tiles T4, and a good, I would give it all up, and let T4 T5 be exclusive to either asteroids or out there, and have more people join in because they want this resource, or to for combat sake or whatever. I just want more targets to shoot, too.
There was somebody in another game that made the comment that this is an entirely different situation. It was Empyreon, but the PvP was very lacking, and the PvPers, he said, they were kind of like dogs at the kitchen table. They're sitting there watching. They're so anxious, and the moment that one speck of food hits that floor, they are on it. They don't even think. They don't stop to, it says, "Ooh, bread," or "Ooh, meat," "Ooh, mine." There's no. It's knee jerk. Because you're sitting there just a ball of nerves, sitting there waiting for hours, and then all of a sudden, piece of meat.
Yeah. So like a couple people in chat, like I don't know, like gotta remember I'm a person too. Like someone was saying earlier,
Right.
we have fun PvPing, and I can't make this more clear. All of us here play DU in the state that DU is in, and we would like things to be better, but it's just what it is now. And so like, you say we're dicks and we're just pimple virgin nerds that are just trying to grief people and we have no hearts. It's like, okay, well, first of all, not true. And second of all, like, we're just playing a game. It's in the game. It's not like NQ is like, now, just so you know, everybody, there's going to be some PvP here. We don't want it, but it's there. No, they want PvP.
Yeah, it
It's
was a
part of the game.
main advertisement of the original game when they first were debuting it. They were always showing advertisement of these big epic fleet battles and crap, and it was just like, then they release it and you're like, where's the battles? Where's my epic fleets?
Yeah, we're not out to ruin people's day. We just want some content. It's
Currently, the battles have to be like orchestrated, right?
But-
Like it has to be an orchestrated fight for it to look the way it was advertised.
Can you guys address the expense that you put in for the payout in PvP?
I mean, occasionally you get a whale, but like most of the time you're down cells and fuel.
Yeah, you get a skateboard.
Sometimes you get a whale, sometimes you get a skateboard.
Yeah, okay, like we had 2 kills earlier today. One guy had 2 warp cells, the other guy had 400. Right?
Okay.
Like and for me, 400 warp cells isn't anything. Like
No.
the
How many
ship
warp
that I
cells
took out there, the ship that I took out there, and it was 3 warp stops to get there, was 255 per warp.
Cells is the average PvPer burning a day.
A lot.
Okay, so if you take your average engagement, fuel, scraps if they defend, ammo, warp cells, what's your just round it out? What would you say your average cost of an engagement is?
Yeah, I don't know, but every bullet is just literally money.
Yeah, I mean those things. I've looked at the market; they're not cheap.
You can hear the cha-chings. You literally can hear the cha-chings.
So when I say that PvP is a rich man's game, this is what I'm talking about. The amount of expense that the average PvPer puts in to get a kill, whether it's a skateboard or a whale, is never paid for. I mean, I've watched it. Like it's never paid for.
Also, it's that there's so few PvPers that it's kind of boiled down to the cream of the crop of now we're just it's meta this, meta that, and we're trying to just get the best of everything, and
just to give you guys an example, people that haven't looked at the market lately, like, okay, you guys use a lot of exotic large weapons, right?
Mhm.
Exotic precision cannon larges. Now, I'm not saying this is what y'all pay. There's 5 for 7.5 mil a pop. The rest of them are 8.2, 9.2, and how many of those would you have on a single ship?
Well, the thing is that we're not going to those markets because of that price.
I know. I'm just saying
we're trying to make it between ourselves as well, to cut down on that. But...
Well, no, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to do is
in part, it's a rich man's game because you buy all the blueprints and then you can build a PvP ship for so much cheaper than somebody who goes to the market. So if you're sitting on a couple billion or so with the blueprints, then it's actually quite a lot easier to replace a ship.
No. What I'm trying to say is, from a new player looking at PvP, and they're seeing the meta with these large exotic weapons. And then they look at the market and they say, okay, so how many large weapons would you guys typically have on a ship?
Right. So however many can really sit to that chair. I mean, as a KBL, I say, 6 cannons to a chair.
So, you have what, 1, 2, 3, 4 chairs?
Depends on, if people are dual boxing or not. Single seaters, I mean, if you got a dual box, 12, if that's the case.
So 6 at least.
Yeah.
Okay, so 6 at, I'll just go, the cheapest ones on the market right now. Times 6, that's 45 mil just in guns.
Or you could find one of the PvP orgs that exists and they could set you up much cheaper.
I know, but what I'm saying is, from a new player to the game, They're not
nuclear
going to
the
know
game
that.
finds a PvP org that
Yeah.
exists, and that's how it works.
No,
you
If they
can't
can-
get
a lot
in
of them
on the
don't,
ground floor
though.
very easily.
A lot of them see
Yeah.
that and they never want to make that jump because they don't interact with, there's a lot of people I talk to that don't,
Well,
you know.
if there, I would say if there was a larger influx of players in the game, and at that point it might not matter so much, because if you have a ton of people with just even basic stuff, they could swarm somebody or
Yeah.
another group for fairly cheap, and so what, you lose a cheap ship.
Look at small exotic, I don't know, railguns. See what the price is for that.
I'm gonna
Well,
be honest. If I ever got into PvP, I wouldn't be joining an org because I wouldn't want to have to commit to the chance of joining one org and then saying, okay, well, I don't
1.7
know
a
the
pop.
orgs right now.
So you need 3 of
And
those, and let's assume that they do the mass changes so that the small ship is more effective. That's probably more what you're talking about as an entry cost in the future.
Yeah, see, that would encourage a lot of newer players, and also that would also encourage new PvP groups, because right now, like you said, the only way to get into it is to join an established group.
Here's the thing, though. But if you try to join an established group, they expect
Yes,
for you
fine.
to. They expect for you to only do PvP and to be super into it. I promise you, this is the way it is because I tried to be in two
Not
different.
all groups are that way.
No,
I promise
agree
you,
with
I
you.
tried to be in 2 different orgs that did PvP, and because I wanted to be a casual PvPer, they didn't want me.
Well, I'm sorry for your luck. On
Send an
those
invitation to us. We'll have you.
experiences. Yeah.
Recruiting size now.
Hey, you know what?
I'm
Your industrial's
sorry.
wonderful. That's great.
I'm
I will
sorry
say this.
that
I'd
some
love to have
people, some orgs that are large and that are PvP have been known to be a little bit more hostile, and that's okay. That's not everyone, so just if you do run into someone like that, move on.
Like Gravelin asked if like small ships are even worth it. They're not right now till the changes come. And then like something that NG has been preaching for a while is that M core ships are actually really strong. And like even though we just looked at exotic weapons, like the cost you would need to build a ship to go out and just have fun and to fly around and maybe get a kill is really low. It's like 25 million.
Most of
the Hornet. I was trying to do I want to do the races to get people dipping their toes into PvP space, and so like with the Hornet here, it's cheap ship to build. Like it's really cheap to build. It's got a medium shield on it. It's got some advanced precision weapons on it. It's something that if you have a group of 8 people, you take out 4 of these, you're gonna have some fun. But it comes down to getting your toes wet. And I think that's one of the biggest problems with PvP right now is it kind of feels like I'm not saying this is the way it is at all, so please don't think I'm saying this about you guys with PvPers. So I'm not. But in some ways it feels like it's a bit of a members-only club. Either you're in one of the main PvP groups or you're not in PvP.
If you're not in one of the main PvP groups, you will probably get stomped by one of them.
Exactly. So I'm hoping with the new meta, if it allows to have the smaller, cheaper ships, like you said, and still be somewhat effective, I'm hoping that would allow some other groups to be able to get into PvP as a small 5-10 man org, or even
you can kill a crab, somebody just trying to mine with like a hot tub with a fucking machine gun strapped to the side,
yeah,
and floating around in that. You don't need good equipment for that. The problem
that's how we
is
met Imperius,
Yeah.
We would kill Imperius with one single excess cannon bullet.
I'd wave at you like, hey, what's up, guys?
One bullet.
Good to see you again.
Right? But like, yeah, you don't need a lot. There's the throwaway meta, right? If that's what the smart players do, they take a throwaway ship. There's the nano pack meta, where people literally just mine in their nano packs and fly away.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my god.
There's
That's the guy in the skateboard did the same thing the other day. Yep.
There's the meta where people get the link container bug. They just go sit on a roid and they're just mining into their base and they don't care.
there are very few actual miners at the asteroids anymore.
These days,
yeah. Well, I've noticed that because like when I go out and do asteroid mining, unless I'm taking a crew and hitting multiple asteroids back to back to back to back, the time investment, I make more money building ships than I do doing that. So I would rather just set up auto miners and forget it.
Ore prices are so cheap right now. Why bother go out to a roid? It's
when they introduce auto miners, they effectively nullified the smarter player from even needing the roids. So now when you go more, it's more of that seal, right, or whatever, the waffle or whatever. Like it's the guy that doesn't even have a shield, but isn't in a throwaway ship. That's like the ship you just spent 3 weeks building and 2 weeks earning a DSAT, and then just dies instantly, or doesn't even know he's dead.
Raven, you're hot miking.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of there's far less that we can do to get people out there, except for say like like there's plenty of people here that are looking for people to go out and learn how to gun, learn how to fly, like experience it for the first time. Because if you get out there and you like it and your heart starts beating a little bit on the edge, like it could be fun, and it's something in this game for you to do. When a lot of people complain, there's not a whole lot to do. At the same time, you might literally get out there and be like, I hate this.
Okay, so one thing I'm noticing, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong with this, non-PvPers and PvPers actually share a lot of the same opinions. They're just not being communicated well. PvPers are irritated. There's no motivation for the non-PvPers to come out there. They're not happy with the fact that it's a damn needle in a haystack shot for them to try to find people. I mean, that's not what they want. They want to have active, fruitful engagements. They want you to fight back. They want actual PvP. They're PvPers. They're not, they're not idiots. They want actual fights. And right now, there's no motivation for that. So they want that motivation. They want other people to actually be able to engage them properly and do things properly. This headhunting thing, it gets old quick. In any game I've ever been that way. The PvP aspect of it, to where you're just waiting, and then I used to call it fly swatter mechanics. You see a target, smack, it's dead. That gets old quick. It gets boring.
I think part of the problem there is just I never see myself as being anything but the fly in this scenario.
Yeah.
Like it would take months of skills training to get my skills up to a point where I'd really be like combat capable. And at that point, like, what am I doing? Why would I do that?
Talents. Yeah. Like the first thing we teach our pilots is piloting matters, and I don't mean piloting skills. I mean you physically making your ship do the things. One, to understand the physics of lines, and two, to do that into you. There's so many different layers to it. Just if I have 5% more damage, it really won't matter, because we've done extensive testing. And when you're fighting someone, it's never like, oh, if I just had that 5% damage, I won. Yeah. It's you kept tapping your adjusters, so you gave yourself 1% hit. So while you thought my shield was at 30%, it wasn't. It was at 96%, and you were dead. There's so many other things that matter besides your talents. To get to the point where the talents would matter, it's like when me and Muck fight each other. That's when talents matter.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't run all the math, but there's so many talents. It's not just 5% damage. It's stacks of damage. It's ammo cones. It's range. It's radar range detection, stuff like that. There's so ammo type specific specializations, gun type specific specializations. I feel like it would take me 6 months just to train up all the skills I need.
What he's saying though is a good pilot that knows how to manage the ship, manage ranges and things like that, and actually pilot the ship properly, not skill-wise, just knows the mechanics of the game to pilot the ship, can save themselves whether they have the skills or not, or can interact with PvP whether they have the gunnery, all the other extra skills or not.
Yes. And it's honestly if you could just do all the industry stuff that you wanted to and jump into PvP, there'd be no reason for me to be running convoys, right? There's no reason for me to protect anything. You could do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I'm about ready to just start running protection ops and hope that I run into a fight, because it's not happening.
ZXQ, I think right now we have a mislabeling issue with Dual Universe. And I think that's due to a perception of what beta is. They're operating on what beta was 10, 20 years ago, and everybody else is operating on what beta is considered now. Today's economy has developed game beta into basically the game's fully released, but we're calling it beta, so if there's any screw-ups, we're not liable. And that's what we're familiar with beta on. And they're treating it like an old-fashioned beta. They're changing shit. They're making major changes. It's not a fully fleshed out game. So you've got to be somebody that basically enjoys playing games that are in the process of being developed.
I would definitely agree with that.
Okay, so PvPers. I have a question for you guys. And you guys don't have to answer this if you don't want to. And it's not nothing, no information-wise, but if there's one thing that irritates you the most about PvP right now, what is it?
Well, there's not a lot of it. I mean, it's the same enemy. I mean, for us, there's just not as many as the opposition. And I don't know. For me, I'm a little nervous about those stasis weapons. I mean, the other day we were fighting and we did really good, and we ran out, vented, come back in, and then there was many more targets. And what gets me is that if that's the case, if we were to then get hit with stasis weapons, we would have lost our entire fleet. And they would have lost some of their ships, but they would have regained them just because they've won, they've held the ground. So they would have not only gained their ships back, but all of our ships. So I think for me, I think that being cored needs to have more serious implications for me personally.
Dead things should die.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the things that always kind of was a disconnect for me was like, okay, in Eve, I'm using this as an example. You have consequences to your actions. If you're in low sec and you're PvP and your security rating goes down, which means eventually you don't go in high sec. You don't get to the good markets. You don't get to do any of that crap. Now, if you're PvP in a null sec, you don't have that issue, but at the same time, there are other issues involved with that. You get hot drop. People just, jump in on top of you. All of a sudden, you got a super carrier tearing down your barrel, and you're gone. So for PvPers, there's also a major risk versus reward system in place. On top of the non-PvPers having major draw to go into those areas. So both sides have consequences and rewards. And right now, there's a really major imbalance in that. The PvPers, yeah, you can lose your ship, but as far as your gameplay goes, there's no real long-term there's no real long-term consequences to your actions. The PvEers, or the non-PvP pilots, there's no motivation to engage. So the PvPers are basically out there slapping themselves around in the face with each other's peckers, and getting tired of seeing the same peckers, and there's nothing happening. It's basically the gist of it. I mean, outside of fly swatting occasional miners and mission runners, your entire actual legitimate PvP is the same familiar faces over and over, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's not again boring.
And from a solo PvPer standpoint, I mean, it's really discouraging when you go out there to find a fight, and the one fight you find, either somebody's double and triple logged into their ship, and then you're getting, I mean, it's the worst case of double team. I'm sitting here playing a solo PvP ship. It's just me. I'm a solo player, but yet you're fighting a ship where somebody's double and triple logged in, to where they have 12 to 18 guns firing on you, and that just takes enjoyment out of it for me.
You just get your sandbox games have always been an N+1 situation where the more people you have, the stronger you are, right?
Right. I just, which I agree with, the more people there are, or the more people you have, the stronger you are too. But I mean, you also see similar issues in games where it's an issue where people are essentially key cloning in a sense, which a lot of that can be very easily done, and especially in a Periscope PvP instance like DU.
Okay, hey Muck.
Sure.
You're kind of an old school PvPer, am I right? How long have you been PvPing?
Years and years.
Okay, and in DU, when did you start PvPing?
Year and a half. I mean, it took a while for me to get the money together to start, but yeah.
So you've been doing it through several changes in the game.
Yeah.
From when you started to now, do you feel like it's easier to get into PvP or harder?
It's a lot easier on an individual basis. It's probably not as easy as it used to be when there was just, here's a multi-crew ship. You don't have to pilot. You don't have to think. You don't have to do anything. Just turn the guns on when the guy tells you to.
Okay.
You can eliminate too a lot of that price with a lot of the times, we're so desperate for people and content that we sell things at cost. I mean, we even sell full ships at cost. Like, hey, please join us. Here, we'll sell you this great ship for, we're not making anything.
Yeah.
At this point, please just take it. Help, shoot.
So basically, what you're saying is you're so desperate for new faces that you're willing to provide the ship at material cost just to get new faces out there.
Absolutely, I could sell. There's things I could sell for far more, but I sell it internally to other people for very cheap, in the hopes that we can build more ships. I want get more people in here, and I kind of get where was it Raven that was saying this?
Yep.
About the dual boxing, I agree with you. I mean, I downloaded GeForce Now. I have that, and I'm using it. I'm restricted to an hour at a time, mind you. But yeah, I'd love to have someone else just say, "Hey, do you need a gunner?" Absolutely, I need a gunner. Hey, why don't you hop in the seat, and we'll do it together. It's just there's not a ton of people for it.
ZXQV asked, how much is at cost at this point in DU's life? It's actually gone down a lot. Element costs are a lot cheaper than they used to be because of the major ore influx from the auto miners.
I mean, hell, we even got a guy in our org, Rock. He's got ships, coming out the wazoo. He'll give you a ship. He's telling me right now he'll give you a ship for free. Join up so we can go, pew pew, and he'll just give you one.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I used to enjoy about the concept of original PvP in the game was you had people that were gunners, you had people that were pilots, you also had people running around repairing the ship. It took a team to run it. It was one of the things I enjoyed about the PvP in other games like Star Citizen. Like the bigger ships in that, you have to have a pilot, you have to have a navigator, you have to have, like the Hammerhead that game, you have to have, 7 gunners or 6 gunners? I think if there are aspects of that in the game to where it was more of a fleet mentality, to where people were working as a crew, it could actually add a dynamic to make it more fun and give more viable roles to people that wouldn't otherwise have skills.
The problem with crewed ships right now is that every person who's on somebody else's ship is not bringing a shield generator.
Yes.
Yeah.
They need to make it so L-cores take crews, not just one person can fly them.
Yeah, well, I've had that argument for some time now. It's now we all use remote controllers, and
even at
there's
PvE
so many
aspect.
balance problems, though. Really, like it's not just that.
Can we actually talk about the dirty elephant in the room, or the elephant in the room, which is software, and the disparity in disparity between
I don't
different...
Sure, I can. You're getting like Lewis scripts, stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like,
So
like
absolutely.
Sneaky Snake script,
Right.
and
So a lot of that stuff is not just readily available to anyone and everyone. I mean, we had to, acquire it, go through back channels. It's not like, hey, I can hop on a ship and hey, where do I go? Do I go to a hub or something like this where there's stuff on, here that I could just download, put on my ship, and hey, we're good to go. I agree. I mean, there's what scripts are out there are kind of good PvP scripts are kind of guarded by people. And they do have, they're very nice. I mean, but you still can, PvP and duel and fighting ships without, that stuff. I mean, mind you, you're hitting, insert a lot more, but it is possible.
But if we were to just allow, like, if everybody was just to have any of those scripts, you're basically taking away that player's entire way of making money, right? Like, if you were to take away Serapus's building, that's okay. Then why is he even there? Why is he playing this game? That's like his thing. I think that they should be able to control those things. I think it's part of the game.
Yeah.
If you have a better script, you are better at PvP.
Right now, this is a personal opinion to me. The biggest issue that I'm seeing with my aspect of PvP is there's a bit of a shroud of mystery around it to a lot of the player base. Unless you happen to get into the right group, PvP is this kind of like thing that just happens out there that you don't think about. It's kind of like Americans and, shit going on overseas. Oh, hey, look, it's on the news. Okay, and go back to what you're doing. And I hate saying it that way, but it's the truth. there's no real interaction aspect to it.
How many, Serapis, how many people out there know that the PvPers have scripts that automatically detect incoming damage and adjust shield resistances?
Yeah, but that's not even that good.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
actually
that
That's
extremely
garbage.
exploitable.
Yeah,
The-
it's garbage. It's a garbage script.
that actually hurts. I mean, in all reality, that script was kind of put out to inhibit the people who are using it.
Well, I mean, you could all. There's ways around that too, as well. I mean, like, if I see a target, I can hit him with one damage type, and then when I know his shields have auto adjust, I can
That
just let him
script is
open up
pretty
on.
good, I think. I mean, it does an awful lot for you in certain circumstances.
If it's,
I mean, well, think about that though. Y'all are talking about a script somebody else made that you're not supposed to have, and the topic is, should like regular people have like some access to, like, when they sit in the gunner seat, a little box that they can click that pulls up the gunner widget and the radar widgets and makes it like
It would be great, wouldn't it?
amazing script. But like the secret tech stuff, the Lua, like the core of that, the nuts, that's somebody's precious time, and then
I
it
agree.
gets stolen and just passed around because it's the enemy and treated like, well, it's just free now, right? Put on every ship.
Oh,
Why not?
that was a big thing we had to deal with in Eve Online. I mean, everything was so tight knit on security because you had, and I hate using it this way, but it does like basically espionage and spies and all that crap and leaked intel and stuff like that would make a difference. It was a very big thing, very important.
Well, it gives you an advantage until it doesn't.
PvP, not in space.
I mean, if you did put that on there and we core you, we take that, I mean, then yeah, I guess then I guess is ours. I mean, and the rules apply, for us.
We're actually using other scripts to do that. We're not still using an old stolen script.
Oh no, I'm just saying, like, the people that are joining are, and like
They better because they need it.
they're like literally getting whatever they can get. I did a whole series of ships for super cheap. I couldn't find anybody to give me scripts for it, flat out. Like, tried to put ours on it, got fucking yelled at hardcore. Tried to find fucking another one to put on it, nobody would do it. Offered 500 million quanta to a script, to a Lua guy. He started, then quit. Like, I couldn't find it, and eventually I had to go with Sneaky's public one, which wasn't that bad, but it's now been discontinued. So it's like, yeah, no, I want, part of the thing that everybody in this group, everybody in here that PvPs wants for new players is those things to be available to you if
There
that's
should
like
be
the
a
barrier.
better UI.
Yeah.
Better
the
UI.
game should provide a better UI. Free of, like, the devs should do it. It shouldn't be we have to fix this. The game should have a usable UI.
Yeah.
Because that's probably a big barrier to entrance for a lot of people. Like, besides cost, like, they sit down in this chair. 1, they don't have any buffs. 2, they don't have any widgets. 3, they don't even know to hit insert to get in third person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They might not know about the remote.
Yeah, I've seen people talking online who don't know what the remote
medium
is.
large cores.
There's not a lot of info out there either. There's not a lot of people that make videos.
Even NQ are secretive. They don't want to give out their formulas on how things work.
Yeah. And then people are millions of quanta invested in this ship that then they have no idea what they're doing and they just die and then they never do it again.
And
If
then
anybody-
in some instances, hundreds of millions.
If anybody's curious about the quote unquote sneaky snake script that disappeared, I'm going to put a link out that's on GitHub and you guys can have fun with it.
Sweet.
Nice.
I love it. It's a good script.
Yeah, it's great. It has hit shift.
Because I'd like to see somebody pick it up and
The
turn it
Wizard-
into a
Wizard-
public.
Wizard's been hired to write from CVA, if you know him, a public, open source, anybody can do whatever they want with, that has all the bells and whistles. Like variety MMOs, everybody hates him. He's paying out of his own pocket to get this made because this has been an issue for us.
We were considering it.
We can't, like, literally Lua guys, I love them to death, but like they won't do it if there's no like deal down the line where I'm getting 2% per ship or something, like.
Yeah.
It's their livelihood. Like, I pay well for Lua. But
I've considered
Guys,
learning to code
in
just so I
GitHub-
could make an open source thing.
In GitHub is the last iteration of Sneaky Snake script that somebody else grabbed and they integrated some other stuff into it. So I haven't played with it, but it was what I found on GitHub. And I'm
Someone give
hoping
me
that
a
you guys will
Quick
mess with it.
elevator pitch of what Sneaky Snake script actually is. You guys
don't
are just
use
talking about, but I don't know what it is.
Most of them,
Yep.
you're not using the periscope. I can tell you that.
But
No.
it's way deeper than that.
One of the big problems in this game is that you can't tell who is who. Like you say, you shoot the yellow ship with the bulb on the front or something, and so you need a script to fix that problem.
And I know there's been a lot of talk of PvPers where they actually end up killing an ally or a friend because they just didn't know until it was too late and the other ship was already gone.
The scripts that
transponder could fix that too.
yeah, they're running transponders that hide all friendly ships, and so they're only showing the enemy ships.
Gotcha.
And transponders are very easy to use. They're very cheap, and all you do is you just plop it on your ship, and then you just set whatever the group decides. Hey, this is what we want, and then that's it. And as long as everyone's using it, and you turn it on, turn it off, give the thing a kick. You know what I mean? And then it works. And
does anyone
the
have any problems
downside of
with intercepted
transponder
transponder codes?
It's
Sorry,
just
Small.
that right there. If you get your code intercepted, then it could be a bad day in hell.
Well,
But
then just
that's
change
why
it.
there's layers to security. Yeah. So transponder is only part of the security check.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's just a piece of it, right? Like, we would frequently kill people, and their transponder would just be nonsensical stuff. Or it's like Legion. Legion has a transponder code, and when Muck kills somebody, knows the code, we change it.
Yep.
This is actually kind of nice tonight. We have non-PvPers and PvPers having a very intelligent conversation in chat, and it's actually becoming somewhat fruitful.
Yeah, here's the other thing too. Shields have changed the instantly dying stuff a lot. Like, obviously you should shoot first. You know what I mean? They have a shield. If they don't have a shield, well, whoops. But
yeah, we're shooting them
shouldn't have been
sometimes, and like I'll get a ping on Discord like, "Hey, stop shooting at me," So it's like, "Oh, okay, whoops."
yeah,
Sorry, my bad. I mean, I
Efficient.
accidentally cored an ally ship the other day. I got the message a little too late.
Oh,
My bad.
Does
Sorry.
anybody have a list for the link to the full list of all the crap that's going to be in Athena?
yeah, I'll put it in the chat.
Because the actual news roadmap thing doesn't actually give a full list.
Oh, yeah, I don't. That's what I linked. I don't have like a list, but
I thought it did. Yeah, so it does. You got to keep you go down basically. That's that's everything I've seen.
No,
And
like
this
if you
is-
look at the picture in the thing, it says new first-time player experience, space territory warfare, new space map, construct max speed and PvP rebalancing, stasis weapons, PvP voxel performance improvements, space market, mining unit Lua API, Lua screen links improvements, element stacking exploit fix, harvesting quality of life improvements, various graphic improvements, and various quality of life improvements. That's in the graphic they have posted for the roadmap, but it's not in the
Yeah.
post itself.
Underneath that graphic, they say what's in it, and there's about 3 paragraphs, and that's it.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm going to post that in stream chat.
Which is why, they said there'd be dev blogs that explain things more.
Yeah.
We're really kind of speculating at
Well,
this point.
Part of the point of DUT is, I know it's early, but we're trying to get a conversation in regards that the devs can go through, because they're going to go through Monday and they're going to watch the stream. That's the reason why I keep it to 2 hours. But they're going to go through Monday and watch the stream. Decker's going to take full key points from it, and these are things going to be brought up in the meetings before they get, deployed. This is what happened last time with the core changes. The core changes actually came from DUT. The way they redid them, where it's 100 and 100.
And having the conversations this early could also give them insight on what they might actually have to add into the game, since we're so far ahead of time right now. Quality of life changes that they didn't know the players wanted.
Well, here's the thing, right? So in EVE Online, you had, various class ships from your capital ships and, dreadnoughts and carriers and super carriers and all of that. You had your battleships. You had all of these brackets.
Ships
that
are very
sort of
role specific.
Right. But now we have a game in DU where you can have a large core ship that can run large guns that is smaller than a that's a nano, what they call a
It's a
nano, which is a
snowflower.
very small ship, right? And so there's that sort of there's that variable which needs to really be taken into consideration. The other thing that they need to take into consideration is that there's different types of space combat. There's fleet combat, right, where your fleets are trying to blow each other up and they're trying to blow each other up. There's also pirating, where they don't really want to blow up the other ship. They want to core it so that they can then use the materials, right, or use the elements off of it. So,
or even not even core it, communicate with the person that they want to take over their ship, and if they don't, that they'll blow it up. Or
I mean,
ransom
and
it
even
or
sometimes
something,
too
like
is
some
like-
kind of interaction between
right.
players.
There's no way to like hail or say anything.
yeah, well, that's because they're building a game that they think is a community game, but yet the communication channels in the game are super, super terrible.
Mhm.
I mean, chat is useless. That's why everybody communicates over Discord, because the communication in the game is so terrible. I think there's got to be a way to like actually hail somebody and have a conversation with them. That's better than the chat in this game. The chat in this game is terrible.
Well, okay, so Fjord Face made a point. A lot of what we're saying could be seen as blaming the devs, and honestly, we're not trying to blame the devs at all. We wouldn't be here if we wanted to blame the devs. We'd be doing what Brew and Pew was doing, and some of the others were doing, and just going psychotic, and it just really doesn't benefit us. But
yeah, no, it's a beta game, right? So we think that there's a lot of room for improvement, and just because it hasn't been made here yet, because the resources aren't available, doesn't mean that we think the devs are bad or something like that, right?
And PvP has come a very long way. I've only been PvPing since June or whatever, right? But I hear tales of older times where you flew in straight lines and no one died and there were just gold squares, and like I feel like now, and anybody else here could correct me if I'm wrong, PvP actually is fun. There's this weird myth that it's not fun. It's fun now because ships are much faster. They have much more DPS outputs. There's more coordination that's required because you aren't going to find a 1v1. Like, it's just not going to happen like that.
Yeah.
Well, the old meta was like, it wasn't about coring anyone. It was about forcing them off the field. I mean, now you do core someone, and it's, yeah, you there is something about, hey, I see someone on my radar. Guys, someone popped up. And it, like, the blood does rush, and you do, you want to just like, you get all caught up in the moment. You just want to shoot, and it can be very fun, it's.
Oh.
Well, I also understand it can be frustrating for the people we're killing, but it's
people
part of
have to realize, in order for a large-scale game to have a large player base, like, okay, we'll use EVE as another example. EVE has industry, EVE has PvE, EVE has missions, like, there's a lot of aspects to that game that every player gets to pick what they want to do and enjoy and go do that.
Just to follow up on players not knowing how to fight, it would be a lot easier for somebody to learn if there were some NPCs to fight.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now, okay, this is a hypothetical question, but as far as PvP goes, what is the risk involved in recruiting? And I'm actually asking that as a question, not as a challenge.
Well, I mean, a big thing that does pop up is spies. You never know who is who, and you never want to give too much access. It's part of taking a chance, though. Like at this point, we've got enough resources, we got enough stuff. Like we can, as I said, we can give stuff to people. Just to get them into the fight.
But that's a risk, because
it is a risk.
You're handing them a PvP ship.
Sure.
Or is it going to be under org name, or is it going to be under their name?
Well, if they, that's a good question.
Depends on who's handing out the ship.
Yeah, we could sell it to them for dirt cheap, and then it's theirs.
Yeah, but
we
so
have some people hand out ship.
The risk is you could have somebody come in that you're not really familiar with. They can buy one of your PvP ships for dirt cheap, and then turn it right around in the middle of a fight and shoot your ass with it.
They could.
They could.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as like intel goes, like we do lose ships to Legion occasionally, and Legion then knows what we're doing, and Legion loses ships to us, and then we know what they're doing.
Revlin has a great question. How many big PvP orgs are there in the game right now?
One.
I mean, it's got to be just Legion and Empire. I mean, right?
Legion is an alliance of organizations.
Well, then,
So, I mean, how many orgs are in Legion?
5 or 6 or something like that.
Okay, so Empire. Is Empire an alliance or an org?
Empire's an org.
Okay, so Empire is an org. Boo is an alliance of orgs. I know there's a few orgs in Boo. They don't have as many active members, but there are a few different orgs in Boo that PvP. So when people say Legion, they're not necessarily talking about an org. They're talking about a group of organizations that are working together. So that concept of the ever-present massive Legion, yes, they are an alliance, but it is several small orgs.
There are two groups of things that are conglomerated, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
There's like one or two other little groups that have some presence, and there's two large conglomerations of people who fight.
Gotcha. So
you're gonna see, when you see us on the battlefield, I mean, you're not gonna care. You're just gonna see either the name Legion or Empire, and you're not gonna care, what different orgs are. That's what you're gonna see, and those are what you're fighting.
Okay, so question.
You're gonna see somebody with banana hat. There'll be 100 banana hat ships, and that'll be what you gotta fight that day.
Okay, so I got a question for you guys. If there is anything in the game that you think could be changed, PvP-wise, that it would allow for smaller orgs to be a legitimate contender, what would you guys think that would be?
Ship destruction, and then removing warp drives from the game.
But okay, something there.
When a core is just cored, okay, that you can get a real quick pickup time to where you can pick up a random loot from the ship that was on there, and then the ship's gone.
That's the way it is in Eve.
Yes. But it would allow smaller organizations, because larger organizations are going to call reinforcements, and it allows smaller organizations an advantage.
So the other thing is, in this game, it's not like Eve, where there's Delve, and then there's Providence, and then there's period bases.
Yeah.
There's one solar system. You can warp anywhere in that solar system very fast. And that means that, like, the orgs that are the biggest in the game, they're the biggest in the game at every planet at any time they want to be.
Yeah. So that's the reason why I was asking. Things that are realistically able to be implemented in the game, and I'm being serious.
Just take the warp drive right out.
That's not realistically going to happen, though.
No, that's not.
Take the warp drive away from people with weapons on their ship.
That would be a solution, yes.
You have weapons, you can't warp. You have weapons in a container, you can't warp.
The guys that are new to the voice chat, okay? And one of the biggest things we always try to do here is we try to come up and brainstorm ideas of things that are practical, that they can implement, and that they would be likely to implement. So you're looking at, like last time, it was adjustments to the org core counts.
But you're asking an actual question. I'm giving you a real answer. That's the simplest, easiest fix. And I'm not, it really is like that.
Okay.
And they have enough stuff around warping with packages and other stuff that it would be minimal dev
So if they were able to, if they turned off warp drives if you had weapons.
No, I'm saying if they just remove warp drives from the game.
They're not going to do that.
This is the reason why that exact would not happen, is that would push so many PvEers that have no interest in PvPing away.
Yeah.
And you can't drive
one way or another. If they want it to be so that a small guy can fit in, they're going to have to create space where there's just space where the big guys aren't there. If they don't do that, then there'll be one or two big guys, and that'll be it.
Yeah.
You can't make a solution by forcing people into a predatory situation. That's not the solution.
I mean,
all you're doing is putting in the people that don't have no interest in it.
Drac. What
You're having a bad time explaining that,
okay,
we can get to you right now with all of our ships wherever you are super fast because of warp.
Yeah. So what the question was Drac, was not PvP people that don't want to PvP. If you don't have guns on your ship and you're not wanting to PvP, your warp's going to work. The point is, the question was, what would allow smaller groups who want to be PvPers get into PvP and be contenders?
Oh, I get it. I'm sorry.
I am actually suggesting, like, totally removing it. I don't think they'll do it, but that is the easiest solution. Another thing is to create some more, planetary systems that take some time to get to.
Yeah, well, as far as the warp drive goes, is the biggest reason why I know it's not going to be removed from the game is there's a lot of players like myself.
It's like even the jump drive. It's very much like that. The biggest groups can be anywhere they want. They can stomp on anybody they want to, anywhere in the game. And until they, make it so that travel is actually hard, it'll be that way.
Yeah. No, what I was trying to say is, as far as the warp drives go, there's a lot of players in the game, and a lot of their income base that are people that, time is very important. I do a lot of things myself that there's been times I've spent 3,000 or 4,000 warp cells just because.
The thing is, you're sitting here thinking that you deserve to be in every place in the game, and you don't. It should be a different place. It's like if you're working in the United States, Africa is a different place, and you have to really work to get over there.
Let me finish what I'm saying. And this is a perspective from a business, not from me as a player. They have a player base that they have to keep the numbers up on. Right now, a majority of the people paying subscriptions are not PvPers. If they do something that's going to kill those subscriptions, it's going to hurt the game and bring the game down. There's a lot of people that play this game that don't have the time to slow boat between planets, don't have the time to deal with that stuff. It's not necessarily, that I don't want to. If it was something I had the time to, I'd be all for it. I mean, when I played Eve before my kids were born, I would know why.
Each planet should have enough content edit that you play the game there and it's actually enjoyable.
They did that with schematics. They took that option out.
Yeah. Oh, schematics and even, resources. You can't get every resource on one planet.
Yeah, you can with enough warp cells and a fast ship.
But you cannot harvest.
Warp cells.
You can't harvest everything in the game and do everything in the game in one planet. That's part of the
thing.
The answer might just be there's no realistic way currently and in the near future for a small PvP org to be super successful, right? Like if it's you and two of your buddies, right, and you have one ship and you go out there, even if it's a 3-seater and it's just a beast, like you're probably going to get taken down. You might take down something with you, but you're probably going to get taken down. If you go out with 3 ships and you have 3 effective health pools, you might do better, but you're still probably going to get taken down. Right?
Yeah, for a small org, you might want to have a few people out and just cruise around and hit and run. Hit the enemy. Hopefully you core them. Get the hell out of there.
The best possible advice is you got to get into an org, like one of the orgs that exists now. Because creating an org, let's say there was a handful of small orgs right now that wanted to start their own alliance, right? They're months away from being in a spot where they can competitively head out and work together.
Yeah, but you would have to be in a situation if you wanted to do that to be, and I'm not trying to. Please don't take this as a boast. If I wanted to, I could probably pull enough people together and resources together and finances together to fund a factory, build everything needed for PvP and ammo, get ships built, figure out ship designs, and fill 10, 20-man fleets. I could probably do that.
We want you to do that.
But what I'm trying to say is, I have no motivation to, because
why? Yeah.
There's no benefit to me doing that because the PvP aspect of the game right now is very limited, and it's very time consuming.
Primary limiting factor.
Yeah.
All the PvP groups that exist are very small, very weak, and undermanned. And anybody can say, "Well, I can get more than 15 people together," and then they can't because people. The number of people with the motivation to do it is so minimal.
Yeah, well, I mean, as far as if I had a reason for people to go do something, I could do a rally and get people to go do something for a reason that was going to benefit them. Even though there's a risk, if there was a benefit to do them, I mean, just all you have to do is watch my normal stream. Smallville the other day posted a scrap party in chat, and we had 15 people there in a matter of minutes. I mean, it was bam. So if there's a motivation that's outweighs the risk.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, that I went to the scrap party, that there was no risk in us going there, and the reward was helping out somebody, right?
That's
And
what I'm
so it
saying
was
is the
there's
reward was there. It was a minor
but there
reward. You got the
yeah, but
satisfaction of helping a friend.
correct, but there was no risk,
Yeah.
and the majority of the people that went to that don't really balance risk and reward well. They all stay in safe space, right? They don't want to risk their ships.
Now,
They don't think it's worth the risk.
okay,
If I
Well,
have a lot of fun,
Smallville.
just
You're a builder. You're an industrial person. You build parts. If I were to tell you, okay, if I were to tell you as an industrial person, I have the opportunity to go out in PvP space. We're gonna get some rare limited run blueprints you can't get anywhere else that would go into your factory to benefit and make a profit. Would that motivate you?
I say, well, what do you need?
So like alien variant engines
Yeah, I
or
mean,
something.
I would just say, what do you need from my aspect? Money,
Oh, okay,
quanta, parts, engines. Need me to set up an ammo factory? Yeah,
what he
something
really
like
needs
that.
is people, like, cause
Yeah, I'd be
I
there.
could fund entire armies of ships. There's guys in chat that do
Like
that
a lot of
already.
us
They
could.
build
Yeah.
20 ships and they say, "Oh, I have this whole fleet," but you don't have people.
We need human
People is
bodies.
power right
But
now.
that's what
I
I'm trying
have
to
two
say.
machines with 2 PvP ults. What do you need? That's what I'm saying. I would go.
So this is a problem that you're going to see in any MMO. I mean, money is all, or people is always more power, and any MMO you play, you're going to have groups with a little amount of people, and you're going to have groups with a bigger amount of people. 9 times out of 10, the smaller groups ends up getting crushed. That's we're discussing an issue that every MMO faces.
I have sort of like a high level thought around PvP in this game, just in general. Dual Universe was originally designed as having the 6 main pillars, right? So there's exploration, building, economy, RPG, PvP combat, and social.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking about the game as it exists now, and we're mostly just looking at, like, we sort of have, like, miners, industrialists. There's a bit of exploration and, like, scanning, I guess, but that's really just support for mining. And then there's PvP. And then there's, like, piloting, like, mission running, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Mining, you gain ore, gets you money. Economy and, like, industry, you build stuff, and you can then sell it on the market and gain profit by selling that to shipbuilders who build ships that they sell to mission runners or PvPers. And then you PvP and you get what?
I hate to pull a Lion King here, but we have no circle of life.
Yeah. There's nothing. Like PvP is sort of like the top of the food chain where you can do if you have many millions of quanta to spare on it, and it gets you nothing.
Well, one thing
You gotta have the
I've always
knowledge.
Okay,
You have
but
to have the knowledge too to build
so
those ships and know how that
systematically-
works.
systematically it helps, right? So if when we killed shit, it died, it would help the industrialists.
Oh, I
They
totally
would
agree.
be,
I think
they would be selling more, and like if
it would
we
provide an
focus
element
this-
sync, but we still need a motivation to do it in the first place in order for the element sync to work.
Um,
Like, I'm not going to go out there unless there's a reason for me to.
One
There's
idea I
not.
always had in the past was one of the things I loved about Eve was the missions. And like in NullSec, it was ratting and stuff. You know, you could make a lot of money doing that in the right areas. You know, and they already have a mission system in the game with affiliate. So I mean, wouldn't it be amazing? That would be something. You know, you could have different tiers of PvE missions issued by affiliate that when it's accepted, it would spawn an instance. You would have to get to that instance. You would have a chance of PvPers finding you and coming to that instance. That would be a risk, especially if you have to use a scanning system to get to it. You know, but the rewards you could get from those missions based on where they are, you know, PvE not PvP space, could be substantial enough to make it worth that risk. You know,
Yeah, I mean, they'd have to be immense. Like, I agree, but the rewards would have to be huge.
no, they don't even have to be immense because, I mean, if I made say I accepted a mission and I made 100 mil off the mission or even 20 mil off the mission, if it was fun content and me being able to go out there and just shoot some NPCs, blow stuff up, and figure out a challenge or a puzzle, or blow up an NPC ship or retrieve a package and take it back to affiliate for a big reward, or not even a big reward, a moderate reward, that's content that would be entertaining enough to make me want to do it. Because it's not always about that financial reward, it's about that entertainment reward.
I think until this game grows, the only way you're gonna please the PvP crowd is have NPCs in the game. We don't have the player base for PvP in this game.
Yeah.
No.
How about this? What if a PvPer, when they blew up a ship, it actually blew up the ship, it was gone, and they got a little payout in
Right.
Quanta.
As we were saying, yeah, that would be.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, for me, and I'm speaking on, a PvE side, but I also enjoy PvP. The reason I have completely stopped going out in PvP space, and actually PvPing in general, is we're not in a situation where it's easy for me to provide myself a new ship if it gets blown up. The loss is too great.
Oh, Cairo
That's
actually has a good point. What would fix PvP is add, and I'm not saying this is a full fix, but adding like some kind of out of game leadership boards with kill counts, organization ranks, that kind of stuff, stats, and you could, there are some people that don't do it because, there are people that play first person shooters purely to see their names at the top of that board.
That's what we did in Eve. Is it was all about your kill word.
Yeah.
You didn't PvP for the money at all. Because when you blew up a ship, it blew up.
Yeah. Well, one of the aspects that I loved in Imperion actually was the respawnable POIs that they had on planets and in space, that you could basically go in, attack the POI, even if you don't have actual NPCs, they could have automated defenses. Just a gun that shoots you based on triggers and crap that you gotta, like a maze you gotta get through. Those kind of things would add another element to the game to where it would be an income source for people that don't want to do other things. You could go in, do these POIs that would spawn on planets or in PvP space or PvE space, and, PvP space ones would have much higher rewards. Like one of the things in Imperion, you could blow the core of the structure, because they had cores just like we do here, and salvage the entire damn structure. An hour later, it was respawned back.
Yeah. I think that would be really good too, is if things that died, we could just be able to salvage, and you put in a recycling machine and maybe get something back out of it. It gives you, them a reason to kind of hold the line maybe a little longer, or something like that. But I feel bad too for new PvPers coming in, because they come in with sometimes these beautiful ships thinking they're going to do amazing things, and we're flying around in cardboard boxes, with guns on it. And I have beautiful ships that I would love to ram down your throat. I've got Halo ships that I had a Master Voxel Worker, that I would just love to take out the combat, but get shredded. Yeah.
One of the things
But
I've
to be
always
fair, we did see a bird of prey last week.
I did, because it targeted me, and I kind of scoffed at it as I was.
hold on. Wait a minute, it wasn't. Because I know one.
No, it was Walter.
It was Walter.
Yeah.
Nice.
Walter of Prey.
Walter.
Was it?
If you ever fly near Sakari, beware the bird of prey. It's not that one. No.
Not that one.
His is a little bit flatter. It doesn't have the.
This is Orbidity's. This is Orbidity's. I think it is Bird of Prey. The original one was actually PvP.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, we only have so much more time left, and we can only talk in circles so much and say like the rewards have to be there, like some changes need to be made for newer players to feel like there's less barrier to entrance.
Tonight's stream is served for several purposes.
Yeah.
One, we have a lot of people that don't PvP that are getting the chance to hear the perspective of PvPers, which, while you guys might not realize it, that's one of the big things missing in the game. The PvPers are seen as these very evil, toxic people that just want to take your shit. And most of the PvEers don't realize that's really not the case outside of the exceptional few. Yes, there are some
so
toxic.
hungry for content that, yes, we will shoot at anything. We took a skateboard, I said.
As far as your personality, most of you, and I'm not going to say all of you, most of you are not these just bloodthirsty assholes that would shit on your mother's grave.
No, sometimes we would actually sell your ships back to you. We'll come down, we'll negotiate, with you and say, hey, we might take your ore, but, do you want your ship back? And then, we agree to a price and.
Should have brought
We-
your
Not
hermit,
that-
yo.
Right, we're
We're
not
making
trying to be
fun-
monsters. It's
Oh,
just
let's
there's
be
nothing
let's
to do.
let's be honest. KBLA is so mean. He'll sit there and explain to you for hours how to be a better player in the game and not get killed by him.
Right?
And I'll sell your shit back for a fair price, mostly.
Mostly fair.
Well, what?
I think though that like this changes that are coming out, like it might once we get the specifics of it, we could definitely rehash the combo, and then
Yeah.
like what I know that like we in Legion have really like focused on, and we're probably gonna start a forum post soon, is that like we just really want to stress that like space territory warfare to us felt like there would be like a territory, and then like if you own it, you get like a really powerful something from that, right?
Were
Not
you-
just
you
like an
wanting to
auto
live
miner
there?
in space.
Yeah.
You're thinking like someplace you could actually live, right? Like you put your ships on the space station and you.
Or it's like a section of space. Like if I own the tile that's the Alioth Thades Mattis safe zone, I get 4% of the Alioth taxes or whatever. Or if I own the Ion tile, industry that's built on Ion has a 10% faster build bonus, right? Like lots of crazy ideas I just threw out there, but like
Yeah.
I want something more than just I show up, I sit around, and I watch this like little bar go up and down, and then that's it.
So maybe these alien cores, whatever they are, factories, whatever they are, go out there. Maybe they're not like broadcast. Maybe you just find them, and then maybe through espionage or through some
Yeah.
other means, you
But-
discover the location of the enemies.
You guys are basically saying the same thing DJ Slicer is. You're looking for fun. You're looking for enjoyable content. And when I was saying earlier, the risk versus reward, that's more of what I'm meaning. You know, yeah, making money is good, but from my perspective, there's not any content out there that makes me want to go out there. You
But it's
know,
looking for the game to play.
and I think that's the big part they're lacking right now. And okay, so let me be very clear and state this: the devs have done a lot of things in this game that I don't think people realize how complicated and difficult they are. They have combined two different methods of 3D modeling that have never been combined before. There are actually industries interested in the technology from this game to use in real life applications in rendering software, architectural software, all this other stuff like that, because it's the first time those two methods have ever been put together.
Yeah, I don't think any of us want to crap on them. I mean, we don't. That's not our job. We don't know what that's like. I mean, I'm sure they struggle and stuff like that
Yeah.
too.
I've
and it's-
already been hostile enough to the devs. We don't need to.
Right. We just want if there's something that can be done, can you please look into it and do it?
And really just provide the feedback like with enough like early enough time to be like, okay, like
Yeah.
understand that like this is the idea that you had, but like these are the things that would really motivate us or others to like get out there
Mhm.
and be out there and make it a more valuable system. Whereas when you like, when I say that like Rex didn't check the box for me, I'm not attacking the person who designed Rex and came out with it, right? It's just like it felt like for me personally, it was a swing and a miss.
But also, like, it's all these things are. We are all here because this game it has such potential.
I mean, if you look at the stream right now, I mean, this is what we're doing right now. I mean, we have an entire, like a proper city being developed here. You could not do this in any other game. I mean, look at the crap Ginger has done here. I mean, we got parks, we got ponds, we got gardens, we got a above head highway system. I mean, dude's going nuts with this crap. Any other game you try to do this in, you're going to spend a 4-year process just trying to get this crap done, I mean, I got a 2 flipping AT-AT sitting next to the Louisiana State Capitol. I mean, come on.
Everybody
So
agrees on the potential, but I think
I think the
We're
biggest thing as players that we have to keep in mind is sometimes in programming, whether we like it or not as players, things have to be done in a certain order to be done correctly. And sometimes when it feels like there's no progress and no things actually happening, there's a lot of structural things that they're working on to prepare for good things. And if they don't do those things in the right order and they force the good things too early, it's going to blow up in their face and make us hate the game even more.
I don't doubt it.
And that's very difficult part of software engineering or programming, especially when you're designing an entire new structure for a game that's never been done before. But so what I'm hearing from our PvPers tonight is this: you guys would love to see more faces. You would love to see more diversity in PvP.
Yeah, we'll. I mean, like I said, we have free ships. You know, we have so much in resources and stuff now. We could take the risk. You know, there's always a risk, yes, of bringing people in. You know, but I mean that's part of the game. You know.
What if I did? What if I? Okay, I'm going to propose this, and I'm not. This is not for making money or anything like that. Okay, there's no income for me. What if there was a situation to where you guys could actually have like, kind of, I guess you would say, a recruitment system that's on a PvE planet in a safe location, a central location, to where players could interact, see stuff, talk to people.
Well, we kind of did, and that was at the markets. We would have like advertising, you know, boards or something like that. I remember DSI did. Maybe not so much.
No, I'm talking like, you know, like in real life, the army recruiting stations.
Oh.
You know, people could go into it. You could set up something to where you could post images. You could, you know, put statements up, information, things that would basically appeal to people and show them the different aspects, you know, other than what they just hear or they see on, you know, the occasional random video. Because let's be honest, the PvP aspect of this game does not get its just desserts in any kind of streaming or YouTube formats. You know, most of the time when they're streaming it, they're just kind of, you know, all you see is them floating through space and occasionally they get a hit, you know. The concept of what
it's very different for the pilot as someone watching, looking in.
And then the other aspect of what they see publicly is what DU puts out there, which is very overhyped and not realistic of what it is at all. I mean, hell, I will give every damn PvP org in this game a free core to come set up a shop and, you know, put up stuff showing what PvP is really like. You know, put up, like, even put small ships or, you know, designs, whatever they want to do, just to show off and show people, to kind of take that demystification out of it. Or demystify it a little bit. I don't care about making money. I don't need the damn money. If it helps get people to where it might benefit the game and get people to see that the PvPers aren't necessarily the bad guys, that they're just trying to have fun too, do in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I mean, it got so bad for me. It's like I'm very rich, very, you know, well off, and I would just go out to asteroids, mine for really good resources, and I would just give it away, donate it to organizations, you know, and that I was a part of, just to get the ball rolling, and it didn't really happen. I didn't even need to be at the asteroids. They didn't need to core my throwaway ships. I did it because that was a new aspect of the game, and that was just different, and I got my kicks out of it. But I mean, it's
Okay, so PvP ships themselves, are these like lock and key secret designs? The ships themselves?
The idea is to get the smallest cross section you can.
No. What I'm saying is, do orgs are like KBLA?
Nope.
Does Legion have like these ships that, like, you know, you can't let anybody see these? They're secret ships.
No.
Okay, so the ships are
eventually sees them when they're on the field.
So what if we did a big fly-in at the city? Do like a ship expo. Have everybody bring in PvP ships and people can check it out.
We could. Right. We have no Atmos, so our ships would get there. They just would never get off.
I can take care of that. That's not an issue. I'm on Thades. I can anti-grab a large core down here and take y'all up, you know, multiple at a time.
With us, we don't really have standardized ships. We, you know, amongst us, you know,
each person
it's very personal, and it kind of gives you a connection more to the ship.
That's what I'm saying. I want people to see that diversity and that, you know, uniqueness between each individual person. I want them to see it's not just cookie cutter all the time.
Yeah.
I think that would be beneficial, and we could, or we had to. We're building a bigger space station. We could do it at the space station.
We're very helpful. I mean, you know, you got a question, you know, we're right there too, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'd be open to that. You know, like, I know the Hyperion guys have built some funny Borg cubes, and, you know, Leo Cora, he designs some fucking really good looking ships, like some beautiful PvP ships that are actually functional. Like, they may bend the cross-section rules, and they might have a fuel tank in the front, but listen, at the end of the day, like I said earlier, I mean, I've gotten kills in a honey badger that I stole from Lavota, so like it's possible.
So
Right?
if I were to put like a 50 core or 60 core large core platform in space and did it there, that would work.
Yeah, I mean, and then just like the other thing too is though, if that's a ship someone uses, right? They can't just go park it for a while. So maybe like more of like a timed event where they bring it.
Well, that's what it would have to be. It would have to be like a one day thing where they bring it out and
Yeah. No, I think some people would be interested. I mean, personally, I build my own ships now, and everyone can see them. I had a VR. I've helped multiple people. You know, pretty much anybody that's asked for help, I give help, even if they're our enemy, until they like go insane.
Okay, so for the viewers, what about let's do this. We're going to work on getting our space station set up where we can do a fly-in at the space station for PvPers. All PvPers are invited. I don't care what level they are. We'll get it scheduled, get it set up. We're going to do this, a little bit out, so there's plenty of time to prep. You don't have to bring every ship. Just bring a ship or two. We'll do it like a Saturday during the day thing to where people can bring them out, set them on the space station. People can VR in. We'll have VRs all over the place. You can warp in and go there yourself and actually just kind of get an idea for the diversity that actually is in PvP and see what's going on. And there's a lot of players that I've heard in the past that, seeing the ships themselves and actually getting to interact with them was what made them interested in it. That got their kind of like that fire started in them. They're like, oh my god, hey, that looks like fun. Let's go do that. And right now, there's not really any way for them to do that. So if we were to do some kind of system like that, to just kind of show off that, like I said, diversity and that individualization of ships, because like you guys said earlier, it's about how you fly your ship that makes the biggest difference, right?
All ships kind of like when you can only shove Legos so many different ways when you start to get down to the nano nonsense. And like most ships, like Mux brought up this point, they fit between 6 and 4 or 8 engines, right? Because at the same time, that's what the sandwiched weapons fit on the front. Like if you had 2 seats, 6 on top, 6 on the bottom, fits relatively in the same size as the 6 engines on the back.
Yeah. Well, what I'm
kind of
saying
turn
is
up
like
to look the same.
I fly my ships entirely different than other people. I use keyboard. Some people use mouse. I use my adjuster placements in slightly different positions because I'm used to them reacting in a certain way on the ship, and that's just the way I fly things. And I'm sure there's some of that in PvP as well. You build your ships and customize things to where it handles the way that best fits your fight style, right?
Mhm.
So that's what I'm trying to say is while it might, to some degree of it, there are some standardizations to it, there's also going to be a lot of personalization to it to make that ship and the pilot the most compatible to where you get the best results out of that situation. Right?
Yeah.
So if we were able to show off that kind of diversity in a public scenario to where anybody can VR in and just take a look at the ship, see what the stats look like, see what they're, how the ships are being formed and built, and, are they using voxels or are they not using voxels? Is it all elements? Do they have weird crap in weird places? Kind of.
Yeah, a lot of us are not good with voxel, so we just kind of we try to do the best we can.
Several people were saying they'd love to see signs on the ships with stats. I mean, I think
it might be a nice way for people to recruit too.
Yeah, it would. That would be a major recruitment tool for you guys, PvPers, as well. I think.
Oh, throw a kill count on the damn thing as since you're doing it. Makes it to show that
really
the ship has gotten this many kills or whatever.
I think NQ needs to create some sort of API so that they can do kill boards.
We don't even know who killed the guy when they kill the guy, because the hit
don't.
after the core dies, they all just say the core unit was destructed. And like now, sadly, it's very rare that you kill somebody in a ship. Like we do it every now and then, we'll get a kill.
Yeah.
The shield goes down, but used to snipe people all the time.
Okay, so recapping this conversation, so you guys understand what's happened tonight. I haven't talked a lot. I have tried to direct chat for a few reasons. One, I don't know if you guys realize it, we have gone back over a few things repetitively, yes, but we've discussed changes that the PvPers like to see, changes that the PvPers are dying for, things that the PvPers feel like they're lacking, and I'm just differentiating that from changes that they would like to see and that they feel like they're lacking, because it is two different things in some respects. We've also gone over things that would increase diversity in PvP that we feel. We've gone over things that would increase motivation for non-PvPers to do PvP. And we've had a pretty in-depth conversation with a group of industrial people, shipbuilders, miners. I mean, Smallville, he's an industry freak like a crazy person. Resource is, I don't know, what don't you do, Resource?
Do everything. That's my problem.
Gelda is industry and PvP. Drac is a ship designer. I'm a ship designer. I'm also kind of, I guess you would say, administrative type personality. Wildcard, what all do you do in game, dude?
Everything. I do everything
The
from
PvP, mining industry.
Yeah.
Muck, what's your gameplay?
Touched everything.
Mostly PvP if I can help it.
Okay. Corzarius, what's your gameplay?
Pretty much everything except industry and PvP.
You're a Lua person, though.
Yep, I do Lua. I do shipbuilding, exploring, scanning, mining. I've got over 100 territories that I mine on.
Okay. ABLA, what's your gameplay?
I do it all. I'm a no-lifer.
So
you.
what's your? I mean, the two main things you do most in the game.
PvP and missions, baby.
Okay, Imperius, what's your gameplay?
I do a little bit of industry. Really don't do any mining. I've done so much mining that I don't even need to mine anymore. So I would rather just shoot.
Okay.
That's what I do.
We have a variety of perspectives in the game in this chat, and that was one of the things I was hoping to get tonight. It's important to have PvPers involved in the conversation, but it's also just important to have a balance for the other aspects of the game. And until we get that balance between the different aspects of the game is going to be stagnant in some ways. Sorry, for those of you who don't know, my kids are special needs. When my son decides in the middle of the night he needs a drink, he needs a drink. And he's going to get his drink right now. But I think that's the biggest thing is until NQ finds that sweet spot of a balance between the different play styles that gives everybody a rewarding gameplay that makes them happy and makes them want to play the game and interact with PvPers or PvE or whatever, there's going to be a sense of imbalance of the game and not a closed loop. The circle won't be complete in a lot of ways. So, and I think that's unfortunately a picture we're not going to get to see until we get closer to or even beyond full release. Sorry about the background noise.
Oh, you're fine. Yeah, we're kind of in a hurry up and wait mode.
Yeah. Although I have to admit, though, if you guys notice the pace of deployments becoming more frequent now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's been one thing that's been very positive for me. And also, in my stream, I've noticed a lot of newer players.
Yeah, and a return of a lot of older players too. So we've seen players that I haven't seen since Alpha 1 come back.
I have a big request of NQ that I don't think anyone specifically mentioned. I'd love there to be more like actual PvP tutorials.
Yeah, they have one, I think, where you sit
I want a
and compare and
zero
shoot.
stakes method of learning.
I think for one, through a VR station tutorial, there's one you sit in a chair and they tell you, and they run you through, hey, this is what this weapon does, this is what this weapon does, and this is what the ammo does. But it's you're shooting at things that are just floating there dead. It's not. There's not a lot of hey, you got to go chase this down or get in the trajectory or and you got to scan.
Just go get that free ship from Rock. Get your buddy, get a free ship from Rock. Get out of the PvP space and shoot till your shields are at 10%, and then wait 10 minutes and do it over until you're out of fuel and ammo.
Honestly, my main concern there is time. I'm like getting out there and meeting someone and doing that. Like, I play this game in fits and starts. Like, I do a ton of things, but I'm rarely sitting at my keyboard for more than half an hour to 45 minutes in a sitting, and that makes it really difficult for me to do any kind of PvP experimentation.
Another thing too is what orcs could do is if they don't want to lose stuff, is just get shields and then go out and shoot at each other until say, okay, I gotta back off from now. So that way you don't lose anything. You get some practice in.
And as long as you go out in PvP, if you go out in PvP space, like a lot of people don't realize this.
It's not the big bad wolf. We're not hiding in the shadows, just waiting for you to come out to shoot.
Well,
I was earlier.
I know one guy actually went out. He slow boated in a random direction that wasn't 2-0. Just went out. I think it was like 10 SU or 20 SU into PvP space, just in the middle of nowhere. Put down a station and a warp beacon, and him and his group have been trying to learn how to PvP out there. They warp out there. They beat the hell out of each other. They don't show up on anybody's radar, and they've been trying to learn the mechanics of it.
There's a warp beacon out in PvP space, is what you're saying?
There's quite a few of them. You guys don't know about.
There's quite a few.
See, there you go. All right, there you go. See, we don't have every sector of this universe.
I can tell you right now, I know of 6 space stations that have over 200 cores in PvP space.
Wonderful.
Beautiful.
Okay, we'll get some guys together. We'll go check that out.
But yeah, the thing is,
I would love to see it though.
Yeah, but the thing is, space in this game is so big that you guys
vast.
finding those is kind of it's.
Yeah, and that's another thing too with the radars. You can only see 4 SU out, 2 in any direction. There's no.
It's so tiny.
Imperious.
Yeah.
Thank God you brought up radars. Okay, you are a mission runner or you are anybody. Your Atmo radar is on until you hit PvP space, and then it switches over to space radar, which means you have no visibility into PvP space to know what you're heading into until the second you're in it.
I think you should have the ability to be able to scan maybe 10, 20 issue out, and then maybe you don't know what it is. Maybe it's a wreck. Maybe off in that direction. Maybe it is an enemy ship, but you have an idea maybe that there is something out there.
There needs to be overlap between space and Atmo radars.
Yeah, that's definitely. I mean, honestly, once you leave Atmo, your space radar should kick on.
Well, we need a lot more complicated stuff than that, though, because the part of the problem is if as soon as you left Atmo, your space radar kicked on, you'd be able to see anyone leaving the planet from any perspective at all times. Which, no, no, I do not want that. We do need a lot more variety in radar.
Planets, if we're trying to move towards this as a PvP game, in the PvP planets, an entity that's sufficiently large, being able to actually lock down a planet and own the area makes a great deal of sense, because that's the basis of a political entity. That's the basis of owning the territory there.
I don't think that's going to be a viable solution until they expand the map at the moment.
Well, yeah, we just had that discussion a moment ago.
So,
thankfully, they're doing that. That needed to be done yesterday.
Well, they're not doing that.
They said new space map. They did not say adding more content or system.
Well, that's what I meant.
New map.
The map.
There's nowhere on the near roadmap adding more space or new system.
Yeah, to be honest with you, until they get a bigger player base that's actually paying the monthly the subscriptions, I don't think we're going to see that, because right now I don't think the income is there to sustain the server requirements to add an entire new system.
But it's just not a PvP game. PvP is an aspect of the game.
I think that's another issue. Everybody's it's not a PvP game. Well, technically, no, it's not a PvP game. But PvP is a part of it. It's also not
to decide, and they need to say: is this a game where PvP happens on the fringe occasionally, or is this a game where somebody makes a space empire? And I'm not really gonna push one way or another, but it would be nice if it was decided one way or another.
A lot of PvPers I talk to are really hardcore. They want more PvP, and that's because that's the type of game they enjoy. And then there's a lot of people, well, this is an industrial game. But once again, the same thing as it is with PvP. Industry is an aspect of a bigger picture.
At some point, it will be like Minecraft in on a big server with PvP in this little tiny corner, or it will be the most important thing in the game is this space empire that somebody made. One of the two things, or some like midpoint between it, and NQ will eventually have to decide what is it.
I feel like they're trying to go a player-driven version of the EVE Online system.
EVE Online there's big space empires, and they are probably the most important and exciting thing about the game.
Yes, but there is also a lot of content in non-empire space, like in the NPC space systems.
Right, but theoretically, let's say Ion is supposed to be a place where a space empire forms, right?
Yeah.
So the space empire better be able to, find the ships that come and leave from their space empire, or they're just never going to exist.
Now, see, I think honestly, the safe zone should be the safe zone. I think the outer planets should not be safe zones. That was something I always thought from the beginning. Yeah. I think the safe bubble for players is a part of the problem. Is there's, it's too easy to be safe. While I know they won't take out the warp drive, if they took away the safe zones around the outer planets other than the central 3, that's going to be more encouragement for people to go out.
Take out the warp drive, but look at EVE Online again. Look at what they had to do with jump fatigue. It's going to be a problem down the line, I tell you.
Well, I think that what you're addressing is force projection, which is the issue that they had to handle in EVE Online. Not necessarily taking out warp drives. That's like...
Well, they didn't take the jump drive out of EVE Online, but they severely diminished what it could do.
Yeah. Well, they've already done that once. And I get the feeling more stuff is coming with that in regards to warp.
Right. So, but that is going to be a problem whether you like it or not. That is going to be a problem.
And right now, you can't warp if you're locked, right?
No, right. I'm not talking about in combat warping. You can't warp in combat. You get free warp disruption on any.
No, I was asking. That's what I was verifying.
Yeah. 10 minutes.
Yeah, you can't warp if you've been engaged. You have a 10-minute timer on it. So that's one thing they've changed, right? When was that added?
Oh, that was
about 8 months ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
They slow down warp speeds.
Yeah, they nerfed the speed, but that actually kind of, in some instances, that actually
buffed it. They made it better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they also they slowed down the warp speeds, and they also did the alignment thing to where if you're not already pre-aligned, all of a sudden your ship stopped and spinning.
Yeah, Deckard's response to that was it's skill, right? It actually puts some skill to it. It might be slightly debatable how much skill. It's like, your skill in calibrating your mining unit, but if you forget, it does the whole you just need to be 2 degrees to the left, but it goes all the way around to the right.
Oh,
and
God,
it's 2 minutes, dude, and you're like,
it does it every time I leave Fades. Alioth is to my right when I leave the city, and for some reason that bad boy will spin around left, all the way around.
I always align first. Always align first. If you hit insert so that you don't have the free look, and then line up your cursor right where you want to go, you're good to go.
When I leave the city and I've tried to align like that and line up the cursor exactly, it still does that full counterclockwise rotation. It's irritating.
It's a beta.
Yeah.
So somebody was talking about
That's a feature.
Somebody was talking about warp drives earlier, but I was on a call and I couldn't actually say what I wanted to about it. One simple fix for warp drives is just give them a randomized max range, where you drop out of warp and you have to recharge. So you're kind of sitting in the middle of your warp. Give them 150 SU range or something like that, give or take. Where it's randomized 10, 15 SU, but have them drop out of warp somewhere in the middle. That way,
what
that
benefit
way you have
that is too.
Well, it gives PvPers a chance at catching someone, but
not
it also,
really, because it's kind of the needle in the haystack thing. There's no way they're gonna,
But still there's that element of risk.
Honestly, I really think that they should just have better and more wrecks. I actually do think that the wreck idea was a good idea. If they were actually an incentive. And right now, looking at the wrecks that people are getting, there's no incentive for me to go and try and get one of those.
I would love to see them just to add a simple AI script to those wrecks, where when you show up at them, there's a chance for one of them or some of them to shoot back at you.
Well,
they might not move or evade you, but they will shoot back.
I think that would give low level PvPers something to do and get lower level PvPers out
Yeah.
out there learning
See-
PvPing against
But it-
NPCs and against each other a little bit
See-
here and there. Like,
But it would also give us a surprise, right? Like, so
Right.
it would, if I'm going up to the wreck and this is the 30th wreck I've done in a row, and then one pops off, that is jackpot, right? In my head, I immediately go into fight or flight. That
See-
is
Right.
something that's excitement.
See, I've
that's cool.
always,
Honestly, I would enjoy that. I would play that.
And it doesn't need to be a super complicated AI.
No.
Just it doesn't need to fly or move around. It just needs to, when a target, someone renders it and comes within range, that the guns start shooting at you.
Yep.
probably only got a minute here, but I was just gonna say I've always been. Never mind. I got a call.
He's a at home call center person. So it's like,
Just as you finally get something you want to say.
yeah,
pick a
it's
side.
random. All of a sudden, bam, he's gone. He does that all the time. So yeah, it is getting that time where we got to call it quits for tonight, guys. This has actually been a very interesting conversation, and it's actually been a very enlightening conversation. And I'm sure a lot of the PvE
PvPers,
players,
not NPCs.
no, the PvE players have probably been
Identify as an
surprised
NPC.
by some of the
Identify as an NPC.
feedback we have gotten tonight. I mean, I think the biggest thing that everything has come down to is both the PvPers and the PvEers are looking for content that would be fun and engaging that would motivate them to do it. It's not necessarily a financial payout, but we're looking for something that just gets that thrill, you know? And if they could give us that, it don't have to be bank breaking. It don't have to put billions in your wallet. It just needs to be something that you want to do and you're encouraged. You know, it's like that excitement. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be worth the risk, and it has to be not hopeless. Sorry, just trying to throw out a response here to like mythical or whatever, and the thing about the chum in the water. I think that if we had things that we could go out and do that weren't ridiculously expensive to buy a ship for us to do it, that gave us a reward that was commensurate with what we were spending and risking by going out there, then it would become more worthwhile, and it would get more people out there and more people building and more people working towards PvPing, and it would expand the field of what PvP is. Some people might get out there and try a little bit and find that they really do like it and get better and end up becoming more competitive with the higher level PvPers. Right now, we've got a real like wealth gap disparity, basically, where like some people are really, really good and everybody else just doesn't do it because it's not worth it.
Yeah, I have absolutely no life, so I was able to take advantage of many things and get very wealthy very quickly.
Yeah. I honestly, I hate to say this, but if it wasn't for the stream, I'd probably be sitting on multiple billion quite a bit of quanta right now. You know, that's just, you know, you got in early enough, you were able to do it and have fun with it and take advantage of some of the situations that allowed for easy profit.
Hold on, myth. That's a lie. You don't just click on somebody and win. Like PvP now more than ever is hard. It takes a lot of skill, like not talents in game. Like to be a good pilot is really hard.
Yeah,
And
now
you,
a lot of
I don't just
positioning.
click on you and win.
To stay on someone and their trajectory and all that, you know, you got to take some skill there.
one thing I've always thought would be fun to add to the game, and I'm gonna say this real quick before we end, is I would love to see like extra small or small core ships, or like even if they're just fitable to extra small core or small cores, directional weapons that put out good damage, but they're directional. Like your ship has to be pointing at somebody. They're going to put out a really good amount of damage, but you got to be pointing at them.
we would have to get in your face, and that
So-
would be very hard.
If
me a
you can
broadside
go
gun
back to
any
the
day.
speed changes for a moment. You're not. If you're talking about extra small cores and small cores being viable, if they make the mass at which you start slowing down pretty low, like 100 tons or 50 tons, you really will see viable, useful, extra small core ships floating around.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways
I
that they
love
could give us that
fighting.
balance, but we need that balance. We need extra small and small cores to become
I love
viable.
fighters. I think that'd be really neat, you know.
Yeah. Like, I'd love to see PvP where you pull up in a large core that's actually a carrier and you got 20 people with you that jump out in fighters and just start hashing it out. That would be
lot of us
fucking
have that.
amazing.
DSI has an amazing ship just like that, but it's not viable in any capacity.
Yeah,
Bad. Very pretty.
make
We-
large core weapons so they only fire to a max distance both ways. So if a small core gets in it, that small core could wreck a large core because it has no way to defend
The
itself.
tracking exists. You can if you for some reason are fighting a large core that's not moving, and you have a small core and you're orbiting real close, they can't hit you.
No. I was in an extra small. It was a TIE fighter with a shield generator, and I think I was fighting Waffle Boy. And I got in his face, and there was nothing he could do about it. He had to go further out.
The way that a large core currently absolutely dominates a small core is not necessarily if the large core was just sitting there that it would somehow win. What happens is the larger core moves to very high speeds, max speed generally, and then points back at the small core. And then the small core is just sitting there, probably out of range of its weapons, because when the large core went to top speed, it probably pulled a little distance before the small core started chasing. Yeah. And then the small core can't shoot. The large core aims back at it and just fires until it's dead.
Yeah, and maybe the speed changes will help make that a more viable meta.
I mean, that would...
We'll see.
I hate to say it, but everyone remembers in EVE the whole swarm thing. That was the whole PvP meta for a long time, where you'd go in, like Stealth Bomber is a prime example. You got 60 people in tiny little ships that do decent damage. It's directional, it's hard to aim, but you could take out some really mean topics. There's really mean
Stealth
big
Bomber
ships.
is more like an L core right now with 2 large engines or something.
But you see what I'm saying, though. That mechanic in EVE was something that was what we're kind of not necessarily what we would like to see in here. That you don't have to be in the big expensive ships. If you get enough people, you go out there with some small ships and guns and just beat the hell out of somebody.
The one thing I'd say is I hope the new stasis web of fire, the stasis weapon, has a fairly short range, so it doesn't just totally remove the kite gameplay from somebody actually has to be a good pilot, get up next to somebody.
I could see that.
Yeah, because as we were saying earlier, as we blew through, a good Legion, fleet, and if they were able to hit us with these stasis weapons, we would have lost everything. And it's.
That's true.
Okay, I hope it's not just 2 SU. You can slow somebody down. I hope
Right,
the small
heavy
fighter
roll.
has to get up next to them, and then it can catch it for the whole, something like that.
Yep. Okay, I hate to do this, but I do have to get to where we're closing here. It is 11:16. We're past the 2-hour mark. I think the 2 biggest things that we need to keep in mind as players is, for a game to have a long-term, and when I'm saying long-term, I'm talking like 10, 20 years down the road, because that's not unreasonable expectations by today's standards. Mm-hmm. You have to have a balance of everything. There has to be risk versus reward. There has to be a circle of industry to every degree. Even in your bigger games like EVE, you can see where they've done that, where there's ores you can only get in high sec, there's ores you can only get in null sec. Every area of the game is important, viable, and needed. And until we get to that point where we have that proper balance of game aspects and with proper motivation, the game's going to feel incomplete. Because it is. And we have to realize that. We're playing a game that's about 20% done of a basic completion, and that's not even the full picture of the game. So we do have to keep that in mind. And while everybody has their opinions on how the game should be, your opinions are based on your interactions, your history, and how you enjoy the game. And one thing we've seen tonight is, even with the people in chat here, we have people from very different aspects of the game. We were able to sit down and have a conversation that was hostile, it was pleasant, it was enjoyable, I learned a lot of shit tonight I did not expect to learn. And yes, there was a few moments where it was you could feel a little bit of challenge, authoritative, but that's good part of conversation.
I agree with you. I think that some of us come across a little bit more hostile, but I think we're really we might be a little hostile, but we're still friendly.
We could leave the politics and stuff off this and on the field. You know what I mean? It's.
Yeah, well, that's just the way it is. You have to have political tension to encourage, combat. I mean, look at, and I'm going to use EVE as another reference. Goon is the best villain you've ever had in a goddamn game. Everybody loves to hate Goonswarm.
I heard them.
Yeah, everybody loves to hate Goonswarm. I have friends. I'm technically in EVE. I'm still part of Goonswarm. Well, their group, but I haven't played in a while. But
you just made me so sad.
They are the perfect villain. They are the big bad guy in that server that everybody can rally around hating, and they're not an NPC. They are players. And I think that's what NQ is going for. They're going for that player-driven political tension. Now, they might add NPC content in some aspects, but they want players to be the bad guys. They want players to be the good guys. That's what they want. They want us to have that dynamic. And while we don't have the player base right now to realize that fully, I'm hoping eventually we can. If we could get the player base to do that, that would be an amazing game to have.
I do like the point that was made that in the interim, like more something like the NPC does give the PvPer, something to do in a smaller popular game.
Short-term temporary fix.
And it would be a good learning process for PvPers too. It would be a good introduction to combat.
It's probably coming. I mean, they're introducing alien cores, so that suggests that there are aliens out there. Come on.
I mean, that would be really cool if they did like.
It's a
You want to shoot the aliens or seduce the aliens?
A little bit of lore.
Okay, Captain Kirk.
It's gonna be space invaders. They're gonna come in and they're gonna shoot your bases from orbital bombardment.
What shut down the large ships that we went out and looked at a while ago with all the scrap and stuff on board?
I'm literally at one of them right now.
Oh yeah. What Deviant just said. Deviant ran that fleet fight or the public fleet fight. It was like what, a couple weeks ago. He's gonna do that again soon.
Yeah.
So if there's anybody out there that's looking for like an entrance to that, you will 100% get a free ship that you can take out and just get blown up in, have some fun, see a bunch of other ships. Like there's nothing on the line.
Yeah. Any of the PvP groups, if you guys are wanting to plan something like that, feel free to send me the information. I will blast that shit on my stream every night, advertise it for you, and get people involved in it. Now, it's going to be one of those things that if you're legitimate and you're sincere about it, you want to do this, I will advertise it for you. If it's ever used as a trap just to burn people, I will stop advertising it for you individually. But if you guys want to do that, send me graphics, send me whatever the hell you want to. I'll post that shit on stream. I'll put it around the city, whatever. I'll do whatever I can to get you guys more people there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Deviant just came back recently, and he's been putting some time into that, so... And then obviously, the other thing, too, if you have any interest at all, reach out to the people in here. I think I'm the only one from Legion in here right now, but there's a bunch of groups out there. Like, part of the reason, like, PvP is more fun is because you're with other people, right? The nature of PvP means groups, right? And especially in DU right now, you're going to have an advantage bringing friends, right? But bringing friends with guns.
Right.
And right now, DNQ is trying to push the game towards that community feel. And I mean, even with the city here, that's what we're doing. We're trying to create a community feeling. And PvP needs the same thing. That they enjoy that content of playing the game with friends, doing things with friends. If you're not playing the game with friends, you can go play a damn single player game on your computer and never interact with people. You don't have to be online and pay a subscription.
Later tonight, I'm going to put up a mission for running protection. I'm not going to charge anything for it, so if anybody wants it, just look for it in mission.
But yeah, we also, I mean, there's other orgs that aren't
It's a trap.
US time zones.
It's definitely a trap.
Oh god. Okay, guys. I hate to do this, but we do need to call it for a night. The video will be posted up on YouTube tomorrow. I will post that in the Discord. The link to that tomorrow. And also, as always, the video will be here. Deckard will see the video. I know you guys don't realize it, but I've actually had several times. I've had times where the devs have actually sent me messages on the forums that I've never even heard their names before, and they're sending me a message from NQ such and such saying, thank you for organizing this. It's been helpful. So they are hearing what we're saying, and the biggest benefit that they're getting right now is a good dynamic conversation from a varied group of players that aren't all connected. So that's helping. And they're reading the stream chat too. Okay, so that's part of why they watch it on Twitch, is because they're watching the stream chat. Brew does too. Okay, so guys in chat tonight we had Drac, Gelda, Imperius 451, KBLA, Corazarius, Linear Burn, which is currently on a call for work, Muck Barovia, Resource, Smallville 85, and XOX Wildcard XOX, and myself, of course, but I'm always here, and you guys probably get tired of looking at my ugly face. you guys, thank you for having to hang out tonight. You were always welcome back here, and it is definitely appreciated for you guys coming to take this time to chat with us. So,
Yeah, I had a great time. Thanks for having us.
okay, let's find somebody to raid, and let's get this over with, because I have a very angry child in the other room who feels like the world is ending, and you know. Oh wow, there's actually new streamers up tonight. English?
Yes, there a subquest on as well.
Yeah, let's do subquest. Okay, guys, for rating subquest, make sure you guys go over to his stream, show him that DU love. Make sure when you get there, you refresh the page so he gets the viewer counts. I will see you all back on Monday night for my regular stream. We're going to be changing the timelines on the Dutch stream, so we might not do them as often, just to make until we have the proper content. But we will see you guys back Monday night. Take care, be safe. Good night, everybody.
Night, everyone.
Good night.